in the United States, Bowker is the only actual like official seller of ISBNs. Everybody else is a reseller, and you're going to have somebody else's name tied to your stuff.
That's actually also really important to know because that wasn't something that I knew when we first published our novella. And it took a lot of research to realize that Bowker was the only option for the
Yeah,
US. We should also clarify this is all for the US.
you can get a single one for 125. Don't do that unless you honestly think you're only ever going to publish one book in one format, because that's the other thing. You need an
Yes.
ISBN for the ebook, an ISBN for the paperback, an ISBN for the
hmm
audiobook.
Yep, one ISBN for each different variation of your book. If you change it, if you do like a version 2 of it, does that also require a new ISBN?
If you do make enough of a change to it. So like if you're just changing the cover, if you just have to go in there and change typos, not so much. But if you're releasing a special edition that you've added like artwork inside and gone like the extra mile for, or if you're making major changes to the story, then you need to revise to a new ISBN.
So
I did not
bundle,
know any of this.
bundle and save, guys. Bundle and
Yes,
save.
bundles. They sell bundles of 10 for like $300, which is already way cheaper per ISBN, and you might as well have them because you're going to use them.
Yeah.
Totally.
Seriously. I had no idea about that. That's kind of wild.
It's expensive.
Well, hey guys, and welcome back to Untitled Work in Podcast. I'm Darcy.
And I'm Lauren.
And this week we have with us Kelly Scriven. Kelly is an author of the Fire and Ice trilogy that has the first 2 books out already, Taking Flight and Drawing Fire. She's also an editor with 3 imaginative and courageous boys. And she spends a lot of her time with all of her family and home life, but she's also writing stories and helping other authors with their stories while editing them. How are you doing today, Kelly?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. A little cold here, but so today we have you here to talk about budgeting and finances in the writing world.
Yay!
Right?
Disclaimer, of course, at the beginning of this episode for everybody, none of us are financial advisors. This is all just from people within the industry on things that we've done, but this is not official financial advice.
Not at all.
So Kelly, I guess I'll start us off. Why is it important for authors who want to make money on their work to have a financial plan and structure?
Well, otherwise, I mean, you've got 2 paths you can take, and a lot of people joke that writing is a very expensive hobby, and that's what happens when you don't actually track the finances and see what's coming in and what's going out. Because if you're not paying attention to all of that, it gets expensive really fast.
Yeah, that's very true.
I look at it as like I'm a very small author right now, but one day I'm gonna make it big. And when I make it big, I don't want to then be scrambling.
Yes, yeah, no, that is, it definitely threw us off when we were doing our independent publishing with our novella, how much it upfront it just costs in general. Kind of
I
crazy.
think a lot of people go in thinking it's self-publishing. I just make it happen. And I wish that was how it worked.
Me too. Me too. I guess, what would you say some of like the actual costs are for publishing publishing a regular book? We'll start with a regular book.
Well, I mean, the big 2 are always cover and editing, because those are the 2 things that can really kind of make or break any book. Everybody's looking at the cover and they judge by the cover. We all know they judge by the cover. So investing in that is so important to even get people to open the book. But then the second they open the book, if it's full of typos, if it hasn't been edited, people are going to close it right away too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. What about, I guess, an audiobook? Because that's going to be a little bit different because, I mean, of course, they'll still have the covers, but you're going to have something a little bit different than typos because it's listening.
Right. And it's dual because you need to edit it first anyway, just to make sure everything makes sense. But then you get into narration, and that's where the price can get crazy. So
Okay.
it's a whole nother industry. And these people are basically voice actors, trained and professional, and they do all of their own. They not only record it, but then they're editing it. They're putting it all together in a nice little bundle for people. So thankfully, some will work on royalty share and it doesn't cost as much upfront. But
Okay.
you can be anywhere from $0 doing straight royalty share, which is where it's just, all right, 50% of everything I make on this book for the next 7 years goes to the narrator, all the way up to like thousands of dollars because you pay by finished hour. So the
Oh,
10-hour audiobook,
Yep.
typically it's around $200 to $400 an hour.
wow. Okay. That's very good to know. I did not know that.
It's very daunting, and like I said, the royalty share narrators are godsends because it's really the only way a lot of indies can get out there in audio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely super helpful. Because I know I couldn't fork out that much for like a big novel up front.
Yeah. Kelly, can you kind of walk us through what authors should be budgeting, like what categories authors should be budgeting for their books in general when they're thinking about that? If they were trying to make sure that it's a fully covered through copyright, all of that stuff.
Right, totally. Like, so obviously, self-published authors have the option of doing it all themselves for zero cost. I don't recommend it. I think it's always important to spend at least on some things. Um, Cover, like I said, is a huge one that can go typically $100, $200 for a lot of covers. You can go less expensive, you can go more expensive, but that's kind of an average of a lot of artists out there. ISBN, I like to tell people to go ahead and buy them. Now, it's different in every country. So a lot of countries offer them for free. The United States does not because we don't. So in the United States, Bowker is the only actual like official seller of ISBNs. Everybody else is a reseller, and you're going to have somebody else's name tied to your stuff.
That's actually
And if
also
you want,
really important to know because that wasn't something that I knew when we first published our novella. And it took a lot of research to realize that Bowker was the only option for the
Yeah.
US. We should also clarify this is all for the US.
Yes, that's a huge thing because I know Canada gives them up for free. I think the UK does.
Okay.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of people, when you're buying your own ISBN, the difference is it's your name on it instead of Amazon's, instead of
Yeah.
Ingram Sparks, Draft to Digital.
Yeah.
Bowker is the only one that can ensure it's your name tied to that forever.
Okay, good to know. Very good to know. I had no idea.
And it's a bit of an upfront cost. You can get a single one for $125. Don't do that unless you honestly think you're only ever going to publish one book in one format, because that's the other thing. You need an
Yes.
ISBN for the ebook, an ISBN for the paperback, an ISBN for the audiobook.
Oh,
Yep, one ISBN for each different variation of your book. If you change it, if you do like a version 2 of it, does that also require a new ISBN?
If you do make enough of a change to it. So like if you're just changing the cover, if you just have to go in there and change typos, not so much. But if you're releasing a special edition that you've added like artwork inside and gone like the extra mile for, or if you're making major changes to the story, then you need to revise to a new ISBN.
Yeah.
So I did not know any of this.
Bundle and save, guys. Bundle and
Yeah,
save.
bundles. They sell bundles of 10 for like $300, which is already way cheaper per ISBN, and you might as well have them because you're going to use them.
Yeah,
Totally.
seriously. I had no idea about that. That's kind of wild.
It's expensive.
Lauren was doing all this stuff on the back end for the novella, and she was like, "It's done. It's taken care of." And I'm like,
Don't worry.
"Okay."
See, this is the benefit of a trad publishing route is that the company, the trad publisher, like they take care of all of that stuff for you. You don't have to pay it up front. You don't even have to go through the headache of the process or figuring it out. But if you're going to be a self-published author, an indie author, like a lot of our listeners are, then you're going to need to know this stuff because if you don't get an ISBN, if you don't copyright, you're leaving yourself open to other people pirating your work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Super important.
Yeah.
But that's
So-
all
so
about a
that-
different time.
That's a whole can of worms. But the copyright, yeah, and that one, thankfully, copywriting is a lot cheaper. So automatically, your work is copyrighted when it's written. Like you have a copyright, you can put copyright Kelly Scriven or whatever your name is on it. But it only offers so many protections. So you have to go ahead and register it again in the United States, register it with the US Copyright Service, and it's like $45 to get it registered. And then if anybody ever does try to steal it, you've got that legal backing to pursue it.
That makes sense. Yeah. Which is super. Remember, was it back when they didn't like have the official copywriting process? You had to like mail it to yourself and not open it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it's like the old tales of the old timey copywriting was that you had to if you had a manuscript, you would mail it to yourself completely unopened, and it would just be a copy of the original manuscript, and you'd hold on to that. And as long as it wasn't opened, it was your copyright.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
Kind of wild.
Yeah. Never heard of that.
It was it was a thing that I read once, like when I was really little, and I went on like a deep dive about about it. So
Nice.
I
yeah.
love stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see like where it started and like where it is now. So it's a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. Kelly, what are some things that authors may not expect or like know that they will have to pay for or would be beneficial to pay for? Because I know "have to" is kind of a strong word, but what are some financial things that people may not be aware of that they should have on their radar?
The first one, I mean, everybody I think sort of knows that you should do editing, but I don't think they know how much it can cost,
Mm.
especially since there's the
Mm-hmm.
different layers of editing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a one and done. You've got developmental editing, you've got line editing, you've got the proofreading at the tail end, and they all stack up. Much like covers, you can go really inexpensive, but you don't know what kind of quality you're going to get. But your
Mm,
really well established ones could be thousands of dollars per pass on the flip
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Do you think there's anything that's like something small that people might not think of like at all that they should possibly be like budgeting for or keeping aware in their brain
I
about?
think I think the formatting throws a lot of people off. Like,
Mm.
they all know, like, getting the book ready, but once you actually have to put it out there, there's that whole layer of how do I take this, like, Word document or Google Doc and turn it into an actual, like, book I can hold in my
Mhm.
hands?
Yeah.
And it's
Mm,
not typically a huge expense. Like, you can get formatting software for, like, 150,
Mm.
$200, but it's still something that you kinda gotta keep an eye out for, or else it's gonna surprise you.
I didn't even think about that with formatting. Yeah, a lot. I'm learning a lot today.
It
Lo-
it was
lo-
I It's a process. I went through my first book and everything was like, "Oh, okay, and that. Oh, and that. Oh, and
Yep.
okay."
Yep.
yeah, that's yeah. I lucked out. I didn't have to worry about any of this. I appreciate Lauren, and I should reiterate that more often.
Ah, doing all the trad publishing stuff for us.
yeah. Oh man. Okay, so initial expenses, right? You've got the ISBNs, you've got the copyrights, you've got the Library of Congress stuff that we were talking about, editing, formatting. So once you get into it and you're selling, right? You get to the selling point of the books. How do you track the income you earn when you're self-publishing?
I use a spreadsheet personally. I know some people will just like kind of wing it because again, US, you're going to get your 1099 from any of your avenues of sales at the end of the year outside. So even like if you're vending and doing it in person, you're probably using Square or PayPal or Venmo. All of them, your Amazons and Ingrams, will send you 1099 documents at the end of the year saying you made this much money from us. But I like to use a spreadsheet and kind of just track it as I go along, simply because it's good to know, like we said, it's good to know what you're doing while you're
Mhm.
doing it. You're good to
Yep.
know where it's coming in. It's nice to see, okay, I made a lot of money on this vendor event, not so much at that one. Maybe I don't want to do that one next year.
Yeah.
Or,
That's
hey,
a
I'm
yeah.
published wide, but I've sold 0 books wide in the last 6 months. Do I need to consider my strategy or change what I'm marketing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great way to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
Um so I guess speaking of like 1099s and taxes,
Oh,
throwing
And
in
disclaimers. More
yes, I
disclaimers.
was just
more
gonna say
disclaimers,
throwing in
please.
another disclaimer.
I am not a tax person. I just do taxes for myself.
yeah, none of us are legally trained or licensed in taxes and accounting.
This is just more of like a sneak peek into how Kelly does it or how we do it. Like, this is just a glimpse for other people to see how another author does it. It is not advice at
Yes.
all.
Yeah,
Oh no.
just an idea. Give you
No,
somewhere
no,
to
no, no,
start.
no.
um,
Why did I lose
so
again?
okay, so with taxes, right? When you're an author, what exactly should you be tracking? Because I mean, obviously, of course, you want to track the sales, and like the stuff that you spent the money on up front. But what else should you be tracking to put towards your taxes?
Oh gosh, once I the first year I did taxes as an author and saw the categories and went, that's a
Mm,
lot. Because there's a ton of things like
so wild.
obviously you're tracking like what you're spending on your books, what you're spending on your editors, all that mumbo jumbo. But there's so many layers that can go into it. Um And at the flip side, I was all excited to have a home office, and I
Yeah.
can't because that's a whole
Oh.
different snarl. So,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, so touching on home office first, because I know that's like the first big one that a lot of people think of, but US based, they say it has to be a space used exclusively for your business.
Mm,
So, like for
interesting.
me, we've got one big computer room office in our basement, but that's where my husband has his computer and when he works from home. That's where my kids have their computers for gaming.
Mm.
That's so that's where I go sometimes to do my own gaming or to work on whatever I want on my own. So I can't claim a home office because it's not a home office. It just happens to be a room in my house.
Huh.
Interesting. Huh.
I didn't know that.
It's a bummer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is kind of a bummer. It's good to know,
Now you
though.
can, however, for your internet usage and like for any time you're buying computers and stuff, even if it's like obviously the internet is shared, but if you track time for like a couple of months to show like a reasonable average of the time spent working using the internet versus time spent like watching TV, you can claim that percentage. Same thing with a computer. Like if I buy a laptop solely so I can go to the library and write, that laptop is a work expense. If I buy a desktop and I'm going to game and write, same thing, track that time. Maybe 30-40% of that computer expense can go toward my business tax.
Okay, cool.
So it's really just about tracking what you are using for the writing portion. And if it's not solely dedicated to your career as a writer, you have to like figure out what the percentage of it is. So just in general, it's like a general rule of thumb kind of a thing.
Right. And not just for the writing, but for the writing, for the marketing,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many layers of like marketing social media. There's time
Yeah.
spent that is looking for vendor events and applying to vendor events. There's all that other time
Yeah.
that you want to keep an eye on. And yeah, if I'm going on this for anything related to my book, I should be tracking it.
Yeah.
And you only have to
So,
do
like
that
your
for 1 or 2
phone.
months. You don't need to track forever.
Okay.
That's good to know. But you can use like your phone too, like as a business expense if you track
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Track the amount of time that you're using it for all that kind of stuff. And it's probably going to be lower on the phone, like a 20-30%. But still, you could potentially count that, run it by your account and go, hey, I used 20% of the time on my phone was spent on Canva and on TikTok.
Huh. Well, you got a lot of stuff you can just be like, this is taxes. This is taxes.
Again,
Hmm.
run it by your tax professional first, but
Yes, please.
Yes. But
bring it's
so
something
you
you
can
could
take
bring
it
to
to
them
them.
and ask. Yeah.
Right. Mileage
Yeah.
is another one. Both like
Mhm.
if you're driving to and from vendor events, if you're going to conventions, even if you need to drive like 30 minutes down the road to drop off your book for consignment at a store,
Yeah.
you can track your mileage. And in the United States, last year it was like 60 or 60, no, 70 cents a mile last year
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
if you're driving specifically for business purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty
Again, you just
cool.
have to track the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, say you like do stuff like if you did stuff in like notebooks or on post-its, and you have like your little like board on your wall that you plan
Hmm.
things on. If that's all dedicated towards writing, that could also potentially be another business tax write-off.
100%. Yeah. Like your Sharpies that you're signing books with. Obviously, your marketing materials, if you're buying bookmarks, if you're buying little pens to give away or candies to give away at vendor events,
Mm-hmm.
anything that's going toward that, track it all.
Okay.
That's the other side of my spreadsheet love is that it's either spreadsheet or there's different apps and stuff that can track the expenses too.
Well, that's pretty
Are there any
cool.
apps you'd recommend?
I use it's waveapp.com. It's got an app and a website, and the beauty of it is it's free. It's not
Hmm.
one of those like crazy expensive subscriptions. You can pay like $8 a month if you want to be able to take a photo of a receipt in the app, but I can take a photo of a receipt and then upload it to the app, and that's free. You
Well,
can
there you
pay an
go.
extra if you want it to automatically like pull in information from your bank account, but if you're just doing it manually, it's totally free to use.
Nice.
And it's
That's
got a
nice.
lot of like you can all sorts of different expense. You can put in custom expense categories and go crazy with it.
Nice.
That's really cool. Um, so Oh man, I had a question and it ran away.
I've got one. What do you think,
Yeah.
Darcy? Kelly, can you talk about sales tax and when authors have to think about that and when they don't?
That's a tricky one because the rules, not even it's not even like this is just for the US, but the rules in every single state are different.
Mm-hmm.
So some states you have to pay sales tax from the very moment that you sell your first thing in person. Some states say you don't have to worry about submitting sales tax until you've sold like $3,000, $4,000. So definitely do your research first.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd recommend, no matter where you're at, to go ahead and register for that sales tax form. I'm having trouble with it, but there's a form each state offers to register as a sales tax entity. Now, you don't need to do that if you're only selling online through like Etsy, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the places, because they then become the seller and they are responsible for the
Mm,
tax. But
yeah.
the second you're doing any direct sales, you need to start thinking about sales tax and at least see if you've got to pay it or
Mhm.
not.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. So when it comes to like selling, because you were speaking about selling through like Amazon and everything, and how they do the sales tax, but when it comes to selling books yourself, like when you send it to like a house to like get it made into a book and then you get it back, um, that's gonna vary with taxes, right? Because you have the physical copy and you're the seller, so you have to register.
Right.
Um, and then is like the spaces for the books, like where you're keeping the books, does that count as something that like applies towards taxes or anything like that?
It's sort of the same, like if you've got a dedicated home office,
Gotcha.
that would be where you'd keep that. But like for me, I'm just keeping them on a bookshelf in one of my rooms. So no, you can't really claim that on your taxes at all, unfortunately.
Fair. Fair enough. um, how
That's
many
funny.
how many books would you recommend to somebody who is doing their own like
Mm.
book purchasing and then selling? Like how like when they're like the first initial purchase of them being like, okay,
Oh, okay.
I got my book published and I'm gonna sell them, but I gotta buy my own.
The author
Um,
cop.
yeah, the author copies. It's so hard to say because it really depends on what your strategy is.
Okay.
Like if you're really planning on getting out and there's a lot of events locally, or you're planning on going to a lot of conventions, you probably want at least of your first book, if it's a series, like 20 or 30 on hand. If you're mostly just like you've got it listed on your website and you sell it to people you know, 5 to 10 on hand at any given time is probably enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. All right. That makes sense. I'm gonna buy a bunch eventually of my book. Start doing that.
That you can claim on your taxes. That's supplies right there.
Okay. Got that makes sense. Okay, yeah, because you're buying the
Yeah,
product to
because
sell.
you're buying it to, and it's one of those things that there's, okay, so this is a fun one that I found. So you do your taxes and there's this whole like cost of good and accruals and all this thing. For indie authors, most likely you do not need to worry about the cost of goods and accruals and keeping that inventory. There was a 2018 thing, like a Jobs Act or something, legal terms. But it basically
Again,
says
disclaimer.
that
Disclaimer.
I'm not a legal person. I just research a lot. Google is my friend, but I am not trained. But what it basically said, and what I've heard from feedback from people that aren't professional, is that if you have your receipts are like less than 25 million over the last 3 years, you don't need to worry about doing cost of goods and inventory and accrual and all that. You can just act as cash accounting and count like books and stuff as supplies on your expenses.
Interesting.
Oh
I'm gonna have
wow.
to dive into that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We're
It,
learning
it's
so
really
much
nice
about
because
finances.
basically it's in place. The whole cost of goods thing, from my understanding, is it's in place to keep businesses from like selling millions of dollars and then in December going, I'm gonna buy $5 million worth of
Oh,
things, so I
for next
don't have to
year.
pay taxes.
Oh, interesting.
Mm. Huh.
Huh. Hmm.
Huh. That's kind
Yeah,
of wild.
that's interesting. Yeah.
Right. But for those of us who are like, I'm gonna spend $100 to buy 5 of my books, you're like, okay, yes, that's $100.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dick.
fair enough.
As far as us though, because we also go out and we contract people, we contract editors, we contract cover people, we contract
Mhm.
all these people to do services for us. So I've been asked before, do I need to send you a 1099? Um,
Mm.
yes
Good
and
question.
no is
Yeah.
kind of the question answer. So if you did like cash sales or direct like a bank direct debit, you'll need to provide them a 1099. But for the most part, all those things run through your credit card systems. They're either through Square, they're through Stripe, they're through PayPal. And since all of those companies already provide 1099s to people, we don't need to be making a 1099 for everybody that we contract,
Nice.
which is a massive relief.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
really nice. Yeah. That would be so much. That'd be so many 1099s.
But
And
it's
then I'd
also
have to
another
account for
reason. Oh, go ahead.
why I spent all this money.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. I was just going to say that's another reason why it's so important for authors to track what they're spending their money on so that you know what do you need to do at the end of the year or the beginning of the year for the previous year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because it also, like, yeah, like you were saying, it sets you up to like know, because that first year, of course, you're not going to know really much at all about what's going to happen with taxes, and then you do them, and then you have like a way to set up an actual like budgeting system that way for yourself if you like doing that. So then you can make sure,
hmm
okay, this is what I spent last year. This is what I need to make sure I either go over because I didn't have enough of, or everything like that. So
Well, and I will say that even if you don't like doing it, you should do it. And Kelly has actually made us a really, really nice document that we can share with our listeners. So that'll be in the show notes. Kelly, can you tell everybody a little bit about what it is that you built out that you're sharing with people?
Oh, for sure. So there's actually 2 different documents. The first one is just a PDF and it goes through a lot of the tax stuff that we've sort of touched on. It starts though with like breaking out all the different expenses and what categories in the US they're going to go to on your taxes.
Yeah.
Because I know I spent way too much time even just figuring out, okay, so I bought bookmarks, where does that go? So I bought envelopes, where does that go? So
Yep.
it kind of goes category by category, going, this is your category, this is what goes in it.
Yep.
And then it's got a little more information on like sales tax and 1099s and all that stuff. The second thing is spreadsheets. I've mentioned spreadsheets. I clearly kind of love a good spreadsheet.
Love it.
So, and it's got a couple different, there's one that's a very simple spreadsheet that basically is an inventory tracker for like the books you've got in your house. Then if you're going to vendor events to kind of track how many have I sold, how many do I need to bring in.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I can't take credit for, a friend of mine, Atlas Creed, is another author, and he put together this master spreadsheet that
Oh,
every expense you can think of practically is in there. It like refers to other seats to go year after year. If you
nice.
want to get serious about tracking your expenses, that spreadsheet's gonna do it for you.
Love it. And will you remind listeners one more time what that program online that you have used is called?
Yes, it's waveapps.com that I use for expense tracking.
Nice. Nice.
Cool.
Awesome. That's going to be a huge resource for people. I know finances and tracking and the business side of the writing industry is such a hassle to deal with. And then you get into numbers and you're like, I'm a word person, not a number person. At least that's how I have felt many times.
Yeah,
hmm
that's me. um, so okay, so you're an author though, right? So,
Yes, I am.
you have any new products or books coming out anytime soon?
Um, Fairly soon. So I've written 2 and released them so far. The first one is Taking Flight. They're both
Yay.
fantasy. They're going to be a trilogy eventually. I'm working on the third one out later this year.
Cool.
Um, my big excitement is I just finished my listen through for my second book, Drawing Fire, for my audiobook. So that's going to be coming out
Oh,
here in the next month.
nice. That's
That's exciting.
exciting. Fun. I love it.
That's awesome. That's really cool having an audiobook. Uh,
Yay.
yeah, I
It
love
was
books.
really important to me, that accessibility piece. And I found a
Yeah.
narrator who's amazing and is working royalty share. So I don't have to spend that
Wow.
$4,000 that I don't.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's worth it, but it's like it's definitely a barrier to entry for a lot of people starting out for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I never shade anybody that doesn't have one because it's just so hard to get. And I got so
Yeah.
lucky finding Danny to do these
Yeah.
audiobooks for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Well, where can people find you so they can keep an ear out or an eye out for the audiobook and your next book and your installment?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my website is kscriven.com. It's got all my stuff about my books and all the links and stuff. I live on social, mostly on Instagram and Threads, and on both of those, I'm Kelly Writing.
Nice.
Perfect. Everybody, that was Kelly. Thank you so much, Kelly, for coming on to the show. We
Thank you, Kelly.
appreciate it. We are not numbers people, like Lauren was saying, so it's very much appreciated to have the information.
For sure.
So you can find, of course, me and Lauren on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. YouTube and Instagram is Misty Morning Stories, as well as Untitled Work in Podcast, which is also our TikTok handle, which is Untitled Work in Podcast. We do have an email address if you are a more private person and don't like interacting publicly, which is totally fine. It is untitledworkinpodcast@gmail.com. If you ever have any questions for Kelly, too, and you're curious about any additional information, you can always email us as well, and we can pass that along and see if we can get an answer for you.
Or just hit her up directly.
Yeah, I mean, that too. Of course.
Oh, and
course.
Darcy, I just launched the website for Misty Morning Stories. So mistymorningstories.com. If you guys want to read the podcast episodes, I'll be turning them into blog articles here in the next couple of months. So don't jump on it today. But we'll also post Kelly's her tutorials and her walkthroughs that she's created for people to look at, the spreadsheets and the PDF, so that you can easily download it there as well. mistymorningstories.com.
Well, there you go. That's super exciting. All right. Well, we again, it was super wonderful having you, Kelly. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, it was so much fun. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you. And guys, just remember, everybody's a work in progress. It's a process.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.